Hello, my loves, and what a warm welcome from wherever you're watching me from. Thank you so much for being present in this moment. I would like us to go over some of the happenings that have occurred over the past week pertaining to the Sussexes, and I would like us to sort of talk about it in detail, brush past it a little bit, the bits that we did not like, and overall have a constructive interaction. So, my loves, uh, thank you, Deborah. Hi to you too, Deborah. There's something that just warmed me, by the way, over the past few days. It was Prince Harry's forward, in the book Okavango and the Source of Life. And that I'm pretty certain most of you have an idea of what I am talking about. And you are present or you've seen the news and the documentaries. And to me, this was just so wonderful because if we backtrack a bit, Prince Harry and Botswana have been intimate for more than 30 years. He has been to the country for more than 20 years, actually, for more than 20 years. He first went to the country in 1997 when his mom, Princess Diana, died. And he said that he felt it as a place of escape. He found his solace there in Botswana. And the Okavango swamp, the topic of the documentary, is found in Botswana, where they have actually one of the largest elephant populations in the world. So, him doing the forward for this book was just so symbolic in a way because this is something that just hits at home for him. It hits at home for him because he has made great memories there in Botswana, actually. For those who have no idea, remember that post where Duchess Megan posted earlier this month? Hi, Mehdi. Uh, if you remember that post where Duchess Megan posted earlier this month, the backyard dancing scene, that awesome backyard dancing scene, you know, it's so easy to fall in love. After that video, there was a picture that showed Prince Harry and Duchess Megan in a swamp somewhere. And Duchess Megan had on a robe, a blue robe. Hi, Manuel. Mehdi, the going is very fine, very good. Nice to see you here. Oh, and as I was saying, now that picture where they were in the swamp, looking very dashing, looking very very happy. The love was present in their eyes. That picture was taken during their third date, and that was in Botswana. So you can see how much Harry loves that place. Because if you do a little bit of research, you'll realize that it is during that third date that Prince Harry told Meghan that he loved her. My loves, he confessed to her in Botswana on their third date. Wow, wow, wow. When you think of it like that, I mean, He knew what he wanted from the get-go. On the third date, and now they are celebrating 10 years together, a decade together, and two children on top of that. I mean, if you know, you know. I now come to understand that famous saying that says, if you know, you know. Because it was during that third date that Prince Harry told Duchess Meghan that he loved her, and that was in Botswana. So seeing him appear here on the foreknowledge of that whole story was just wonderful. He was paying homage to a home away from home, because they did not just visit Botswana once or twice. He has always had a lot of love and a lot of affection towards this place. Not just because, first and foremost, it was a place for him it was a solace. It was a place where he went to hide when his mom died. And now, actually, we can understand why he had to come to all the way to Africa to hide, because if what we saw last week in his case against the men is what was happening to him at that point in time, the harassments, the tapping, the blagging, the illegal bagging of his cell and all that during that time, then it makes sense that he would have wanted a place, a solace, a place where he could go. And that is where he came. And since then, for more than 20 years, close to 20 years, that has been a second home away from home. And he's even been a very active participant in a lot of the conservation efforts that are going on there. It's not just that he did not just get approached by accident. This is something that he has done. This is something that he does. He has endlessly, time and time again, supported a lot of events, a lot of conservation projects towards the place, towards conserving the animals in the area around the delta, and even around even created Centabale, a non-profit organization that helps the youth in Botswana who are dealing with HIV and AIDS. He created this organization long time ago to help the youths who are dealing with HIV and AIDS. And he has also been he has also been part of the Chobe Forest Reserve conservation efforts. So when I saw his presence in that documentary and in the book, when I saw that he was the one writing the forward, it just made sense, because this is something actually that is very dear to his heart. And if you were to read what he was saying, I'll read it for you. If you are going to read the forward, it's very touching. It's just something that came from the heart. This is not something that he did for the sake of writing. This is something that is very close to his heart, because he says that there are some places on earth that are so vast, beautiful, and alive. They truly open your eyes and mind. The Okavango Delta is one of those places, an enigmatic wetland that disappears into the Kalahari Desert and is home to the world's largest remaining elephant population. A wilderness beyond comparison, this paradise has been my second home for more than 25 years. My loves, this has been his second home for more than 25 years. A place to escape and be enveloped by nature's sheer magnificence. As I said, he came there in the first place in 1997 to escape all the drama that was going on in Britain at that point in time. Back in 1997, in Huambo, Angola, just a few miles from one of the sources of the Okavango, my mother walked through a live minefield being cleared by the Halo Trust, a humanitarian landmine clearance charity. The famous walk was a turning point in the fight against these lethal devices. By 1999, the use, production, and transport of anti-personnel landmines had been banned globally. Today, there are more than 80,000 amputees in Angola, a tragic legacy of 27 years of the Angolan Civil War, which ended in 2002. He continues to say, when I first visited the Okavango Delta, shortly after my mother's death, the war was still raging around the Okavango's headwaters. Africa's largest tank battle since World War II was fought over a bridge of the confluence of the Quito and Cuanavale rivers, the Okavango's two major tributaries in the eastern Angolan highlands. This battle left behind one of the world's largest minefields, effectively preventing all safe access. Nearly 20 years later, in 2015, I heard about a National Geographic expedition supported by the Halo Trust that had found a way through the landmines to the undocumented source of the Quito River. I was intrigued. He continues to say, there the expedition team found a crystal clear acidic source lake sustained by vast, previously undocumented peatlands. The intact Miombo woodlands surrounding the lake, seemingly endless, were bigger than the whole of England. Wow, 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 wow. This book is the story of the expeditions and discoveries that followed. Over the coming years, a team of 57 scientists and local guides explored all the major rivers and tributaries of the Okavango Delta, traversing this vast landscape in dugout canoes, on motorbikes, on foot, and in armored vehicles. They discovered hundreds of new species and documented 29 source lakes in what the local Luchazi people call Lisima Iamono, the source of life, a tribute to the name, where the flood waters of the Okavango Delta come from. Wow, wow, wow. As wildfire rage and hurricanes tear apart entire peninsulas, we are faced with a harsh reality, a climate crisis and a mass extinction that can no longer be ignored. Appreciating, preserving, and protecting these last wild ecosystems is essential to our collective survival. The best way for us to understand where we come from and where we need to get to is by visiting places like the Okavango Delta, my source of life. Wow, 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 my loves. Just beautifully put. Because if you do your research, you'll realize that the Delta is one of the largest wetlands in the world. And in a society where actually climate change has become a very, very, very serious issues, it has become one of the most, biting issue because its effects are being felt clearly right now. You know, in the past years, we used to talk about climate change. We used to hear about it, but it did not reflect, it did not affect us as much as it was said in the news. You know, we used to think that this was something that we would not have to deal with ourselves. This was something that our future generations would have to deal with. But now it's become apparent that it's something that we are dealing with right now, actually. You know, the incessant heat waves, tsunamis, the typhoons, the erratic weather patterns. These are all matters attributed to the climate change crisis that is currently ongoing. And that is something so important because that delta is one of the largest wetlands in the world, and its conservation is actually critical to the global climate change narrative. And so, my loves, this is something else that I just love about the Sussexes. They don't go about, they don't just speak, they don't talk the talk, they always go a step further. While others are pledging to do this and that, while others are urging people to do this and that, they don't talk, they do. And when they do, the rest of the world follows. Because this is something that Prince Harry started championing and started those conservation efforts there a long, long time ago in the 2010s. This is something that he began, and by then, climate change was not a mainstream issue. We were still living behind that cocoon, behind that veil that we had not yet been exposed to how tough and how erratic and how serious the issue was. So it's nice to see him advocate for that, advocate for the conservation of the wetland because the effects of it drying up actually don't just affect Botswana or Africa only. It's going to have global impact in the climate issue altogether. So by them trying to conserve it, this is something that like a stone thrown in a pond, the ripples are going to be felt all over. And I am happy to see him continuing his efforts because he does not need to have Amazon create a documentary about him showing how he loves the environment. No, 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 no. He doesn't need that. Mm-mm. Prince Harry does not need that, my loves. He acts. He acts. And from his actions, you can tell that he's a champion for nature. He's a champion for the environment. He doesn't need those flashy TV shows and like some other people whom you know. We're going to discuss it a little bit later. And another thing I just loved is that his connection with that place is so deep because actually after their third date on Duchess Meghan's 36th birthday, they went to celebrate it in Botswana too, around those areas. And even the rock on her engagement ring, that nice, shiny, big diamond rock, that was uh, that was sourced in Botswana actually. So you can just see, you can just feel his affection, his attachment towards the place. And that is also where he says he has his second mom, TJ, Tanin Jenkins, his second mom. which makes a lot of sense because at that time when he first went there, he was obviously in pain. He was dealing with loss, and it's nice to see that he made a family there. It's nice to see that he made a community there. And he even took his son, Prince Archie, to Botswana in 2019, by the way. He took him to that same place in 2019. And it is so nice to see him. It is so nice to see him actually contribute to the betterment of the Delta because true story, that area, if left unchecked, it's going to be dry in the next couple of years, and that would not be pretty, especially considering the worsening climate situation right now that we have right now. So, my loves, tell me what do you think about that whole forward? What do you think about his continued acts of preserving the environment? What do you think about his efforts, his endless efforts towards conservation, environmental conservation generally? You know, let me know in the comments what you think about that, and how did you receive it? How did the how did the news strike you? Because to me, it was such a welcome surprise. I was just so excited, and I can't wait for it to premiere on March 3rd. That is when it's going to premiere. So we can't wait. We can't wait to see and read about it and see the pictures and learn more about that delta, learn more about one of the largest wetlands in the world. It's a nice geography lesson in a way. So, my loves, what did you think about that whole scenario? And it was just, to me personally, it was such a welcome, it was such a welcome opportunity for him to actually draw eyes into that situation. Because as I told you earlier, the Sussexes, they are iconic. They don't just follow people, they create trends and the rest of the world follows. They create trends and we all back them up. So even these conservation efforts that have been ongoing in the Okavango Delta, I am certain that with his presence right now, with his presence right now, the exposure that it's going to get, the amount of effort that is going to be put towards those conservation efforts in general are going to multiply actually incredibly. And I just love seeing the Sussexes use their influence to do good, you know, stay true to their actual philanthropies. I mean, that it's not just something that they're doing right now and then forget about it. They're looking towards the future. They are looking towards the future, and I just love that so much. And this also actually comes on the back of the announcement where he's going to be speaking another event that he's actually participating, that is very very dear to him, that is very close to his heart. The issues, matters pertaining data security, cyber security, how our data is stored, how our data is used. And he's going to be the keynote speaker in the International Association of Privacy Professionals, which is a non-profit organization, mind you, and an advocacy foundation formed founded in 2000. a membership only group founded in 2000. And over 300 speakers are going to be there and they're going to be speaking. But over those 300 speakers, my love, if you were to go to the website right now, if you were to go to that website right now, you'd see, register to see Prince Harry in person. That's influence, my loves. I just love that. That is influence. And I love that outside this British media cocoon that they usually built, this cocoon built by the derangers and the haters, portraying them as menaces, trying to make them appear as pariahs. To the rest of the world, we are not fooled. To the rest of the world, we get to see them as the icons that they are. And that is why you see them headlining all these events. Because for starters, they actively want to participate in them. They're not doing it for the sake of the cameras or for the sake of a documentary to be made about them. No. You find that most of these events that they're keynoting, that they're headlining, you know, these are events that are close to their hearts. And this is something that they've been doing for a while. Even the Sundance Film Festival, where they were there to for the premiere of Cookie Queens, the film that they had executive produced via their company, Actual Productions. You saw their effect. My loves, we saw their effect. I remember people wondering online, comments being posted on X, people wondering how could the documentary be sold out all the tickets at all viewing times. I saw a certain hater posting saying that even the 9 a.m. ones, all of them were sold out. That, my loves, is what I call influence. And I just love I love the whole session actually because it was so, how will I put it? It was just a testament. Yeah. It was a testament to the influence that they bring. It was a testament to they're not just senior royals. Others are senior royals, but Harry and Meghan, my loves, those are not just senior royals. No, my loves. Those ones are not just senior royals. They are icons. They are icons. Everything they do, everything they touch, they have that Midas touch. They have that Midas touch that leaves everything shining, everything sparkling. Because you check you backtrack a bit and look at their track record, all the projects that they invest in, first and foremost, they are helpful towards the community. They'll somehow benefit the community in one way or another. And second of all, they're not just charitable, they're philanthropic. You know, their impact, their effect is going to be felt time and time again after they have left here. Because this, for example, the premiere of Cookie Queens, that whole documentary, it was such a warming film, following the four young girls as they dive into the cookie season. And I love that the Sussexes allow their lives to shape them. I don't know if you've noticed that. They don't try to hide from their past. They don't try to forget or put away or try and leave their past behind, but most of the times they try to use it as a guide towards the future, towards what to do next. And if it affected them negatively, they always try and ensure that they'll rectify it for the future generations. That is what we call philanthropic work. My loves, that is what we call philanthropic work. And it just warms my heart see such, when I see them engage in such events or such occasions. Because honestly, if you track back, Cookie Queens, Duchess Megan was a cookie girl herself. She used to be in a troupe led by her mom, Dorian. During her childhood, she participated in the same events that we saw the young girls being recorded and participating in. So this is something that she saw the importance. This is something that hit home for her. And I love that when she saw that, she decided, you know what? Let me also create a platform. Let me also try and support others and grow this platform that really impacted me in a very positive way. Because honestly, the producer Alisa, she said that her and her crew were just like a spider hanging on a web somewhere. They were just strictly observing. They did not give any advice. They did not partake in anything. They did not participate in any of the occurrences. Their work was to just record the girls, document them with their families, how they are going about selling the cookies, setting up booths, going door to door, all that. That is what they were simply doing. The rest, it was just the girls themselves. There was no acting. There was no falseness. And through this documentary, Cookie Queens, that is going to be aired worldwide, the Sussexes, the platform that they have now provided for it, that huge worldwide platform, it's going to bring in even more people. It's going to bring people's attentions towards it, and it's going to help it grow for the better. Because she said that that is one event that had a significant impact in her life. And I remember seeing in an interview where they were interviewed together with Alisa, the director, and they both have daughters, by the way. She was being asked specifically if Princess Lilibet was also going to walk in the footsteps or if she was too young. And she said this is something that she would like her to do too because it shaped her, by the way. And I just loved how iconic she is, because if you was watching the post and the tweets surrounding the whole event, especially those young girls, I saw a certain interview on Deadline, how excited they were at meeting Duchess Megan in real life, face to face. And they just said that, and they just marveled at how warm she was, how awesome she was. And for starters, my loves, actually, this is something that I appreciated about that whole event. You know, this is, I loved the platform. I loved how people are gradually giving her the flowers she deserves. Because the smear campaign that has been run by the tabloids and the UK media has made her appear like this unapproachable, unrelatable person. It has made her appear like this, closed off person that is not in the same universe as us. But you see, during that premiere, we saw pictures of her as a Girl Scout, her mom, Doria, as the troop leader. We saw their pictures. We saw how despite how much they try to portray her as unrelatable, that is just how relatable she is and how iconic she is. And honestly, those young girls are so lucky because you could not have a better inspiration. You could not have a better model to copy than Megan. She's just out here killing it, my loves. She's just out here killing it. And we are so happy for her, honestly. Be it in her enter in her ventures. Because I remember whenever she succeeds, whenever there's a little bit, there are rumors of successes surrounding her. Oh, yo, the UK tabloids just melt, they just erupt. And I remember last month, no, earlier this month, when the sales for her raspberry spread were announced, the millions that she was raking in, you know, the millions, the around a million jars of raspberry spread that she had sold. And I remember there was one morning show, The Sun, where they critiqued her in the whole morning show. Like they just talked about her and nothing else. They just talked about her and nothing else. Critiquing her, critiquing her, calling her out. Giving an example of the king, King Charles, saying that he also had a jam company that he had sold and given the money to charity. And it was just so comedic, honestly, in my opinion, because he's a king, you know, his support, his wealth, what his wealth, that he's inherited, and the amount of money that is paid by the British taxpayer to run to fund them. A company such as that, it's a side project, and him selling it for charity, actually, should be it's not something that should be made into the huge deal that they tried to portray it. And I don't mind that, but what what I hate actually, not sometimes, what I hate about them is that they always try to amplify themselves by bringing Duchess Megan down. You know, they've realized that their stories just don't add up. They're not as relevant as they used to be. They've realized that they they need the Sussexes. They need Harry and Meghan. They need Harry and Meghan for anything that is written about them for it actually to gain the traction that it deserves. Honestly, because if you look at posts about the royal family in general pertaining to them without mentioning Harry and Meghan, and then you look at the posts where they mention Harry and Meghan, the traction that is gotten from the posts mentioning Harry and Meghan, they can't compare. This is something that they have come to realize that their influence, that influence that they had without Harry and Meghan, it's nil. My loves, that is nil. And hence, whenever they do something, whenever they try actually and do something separate, it always has to come back to Harry and Meghan. It always has to be linked to Harry and Meghan. This this terrible habit that they've developed over time, they always try and say something negative, the tabloids, because at the end of the day, they are just after money. So if they post the stories the way they are without adding Duchess Meghan and Prince Harry, then they don't get the traction they deserve. You know, like a secret weapon in that. arsenal, evil arsenal of theirs. And a great example is at the events, at the Sundance event just last week, because page 6, you know, the event was sold out, my loves. That is, that's where now you come to realize that they've past the point. They are past the point where they care what the facts say. All they want is to, is for them to be able to feed their little group of derangers and the haters, only those, because they are after the advertisement money that you're going to get when you click their posts online, because they lie, they attempted to lie so blatantly. It was so blatant, it was shocking. You know, they tried to portray it. I remember there was this piece where they said that the event was not sold out. The event, there were more than 100 empty seats, more than 150 empty seats, actually, to be precise. More than 150 empty seats, my love. That is what they were writing in page 6. And they even tried to portray it, saying that the number reduced to 60 after some of the last minute ticket buyers got a few tickets, which could not have been further from the truth. Because, and this is the funny thing, when you go to those headlines, when you go to those posts that they had posted, you'll find links to their websites and all that. And you'll find a lot of people subscribing to their nonsense. Now we are way past trying to understand them, what goes on in their minds, because clearly something is wrong somewhere. Clearly something is wrong somewhere. The hate, it's just too deep that it blinds them, that they'd rather read this fake news, even though they know it's fake, because we all saw the 2 minutes long standing ovation that Duchess Megan got. My loves, we all saw the 2 minute long standing ovation that she got. Take a minute to digest that. That was the longest ever standing ovation at the Sundance Film Festival. And if you were looking at pictures from the crowd, you would see the audience was packed to the brim. It was packed. So them claiming that 150 seats were empty. 150 seats, my love, were empty. My. And under those articles, actually, you'd find, I saw over 400 comments, commenting on that issue, commenting on that stupidity. And just took me back, because how how stupid can you be? Like, this type of behavior, it's retarded. Like, it's not normal, honestly, but we are way past normal with them anyway. I always liken it to that of an ostrich digging its head in the sand and just hoping that the predator that they saw will not just come and bite on their neck, and they're done for. Because that is how they behave. Because that event was such a success. And I just love that the international media is opening its eyes. The international media is not just being allowing itself to be fed nonsense from the UK tabloids. Because on that event, like, if you saw the companies, if you saw the magazines that were reporting on it, my loves, they were a lot. There were over 15 international magazines just reporting on that same matter. That's influence. That right there, that's influence. and the Sussexes have got it in troves because I saw Vogue Japan, Vogue Mexico, the People's Daily, Vanity Fair France, just to name but a few. All those big magazines are reporting on the same issue. And if you check on their reporting and you check what the tabloids, the UK tabloids wrote, you'll see the difference between real journalism and hate-based journalism. Because this the magazines reported truthfully on what was happening, the successes, how the premiere was a success, how it was sold out, how iconic Megan looked. Because if you saw those magazines, that whole list, they transcended. There were fashion magazines, there were reality TV magazines, there were culture magazines, mainstream media magazines, film magazines. That just shows you that they transcended all levels. You know, everybody wanted a piece of them, and they responded and they reported fully and truthfully, unlike their UK compatriots who they just want to live in that cocoon of theirs. And on that note, it's just sometimes so comedic to me how they usually try to compare, William and Prince Harry. And in that note, they also try and compare Meghan and Kate, trying to make a comparison as if those two are in the same level. My loves, they are not in the same level at all. They are not even the slightest bit, my loves. Yo, I mean, it's only recently, I think it was on Wednesday, where Kate was leaving an event and we could see clearly from video evidence, the motorcade was larger than the number of people there to see her. Ah, my days, my loves. The number of vehicles that were a part of her motorcade were more than the number of people who came to see her. Because this was a real life event, not a PR stunt where you can hire people to come and event to come and pretend to wait on you. And I saw some comments, say claiming that it was rainy, that you could see splashes of pools of water on the side of the road. And I just want to remind them something, my loves. Last week at the High Court in London, Prince Harry, when he was arriving in court, it was raining. My loves, it was raining. And we saw droves of people outside there waiting to see Prince Harry, wanting to just get a glimpse of Prince Harry. They are so called pariah, they are so called hated man in England. That Prince Harry, when he was arriving for his court case, from the journalists to the general media, they were waiting outside in the rain. Hundreds of people, troves of people waiting just to get a glimpse of him. And in this other scenario, oh, my loves, in this other scenario, you find that the cars are more than the people. And they try and portray it as if the rain had an effect. What rain, my loves? What rain? We clearly saw rain in London, but that did not stop people. They came in raincoats and umbrellas, carrying raincoats and umbrellas just to get a glimpse of Prince Harry. And that is now where now this whole narrative that the tabloids have tried to push forward. it slowly unravels, you know. Because one thing that they've tried and failed to make people believe is that England hates Harry and Meghan. That is something that they have tried and failed to accomplish. They always try and portray it as if Harry and Meghan are pariahs in England. They're not welcome in England, you know. But the truth could not be more further from that. Because if you see the receptions that they keep on getting, and you compare to those whom are regarded as uh, whom the people love, you know, by those tabloids. They try and portray it as if Harry and Meghan are hated and Kate and William are so loved. But when push comes to shove, you know, when both of them have events happening in England or in Scotland or in Wales, in the United Kingdom in general, it becomes crystal clear, my loves. It becomes clear, like it becomes so evident who is beloved and who is hated. Because take Kate's situation, for example, the number of cars were more than the number of people. And they claim it on the rain, but we had the same situation. We had rain last week in London, my loves. We had rain. And still people showed up in droves just to see Prince Harry. And that just tells you all you need to know. That just that right there just tells you all you need to know, my loves. This whole fallacy, this whole what this whole situation that they've cooked, that the tabloids have tried and failed so hard. They have tried and failed to cook, to portray it as if Harry and Meghan are hated in the UK. It's slowly crumbling, you know, because I saw during his trial there was this post, on the Telegraph, telling him that let this be your last battle against England. Let this be your last battle against England. From the writing, you would think that the whole of England is against Prince Harry. You'd think that the whole of England is not is does not welcome Prince Harry. You know, it's sort of looking at him from a villain point. But when you go to the actual place, when you see pictures of the people's reactions towards him, you realize that this could not be further from the truth. And something else I've realized is just how low they set the bar for their royals up there in Britain. Just how low they set the bar, just how much they try to make them relevant. You know, how much effort they put into trying to make them appear relevant. Because I saw the Mail, it was on Wednesday, they were writing an article on how Kate had braided her hair. My loves, that was an article about how Kate had braided her hair. Oh, my days. Braiding of hair becomes an article. That is just how desperate they are to make them appear relevant. And on that same day, I saw the Daily Beast highlight that she had changed her hairstyle 3 times during that day. 3 times. That now, my loves, that is news to them. Imagine that. That is news to them. And it just just made me laugh, honestly. It just made me laugh because they always try and make them appear relevant so blatantly that it's pathetic. My loves, because the just Megan is out here killing it in Sundance at Sundance, she's out here being the icon that she is. So they decide to look for for a story for Kate. So at least let her be relevant for a bit. And they discuss and they start amping up her hairstyle. They start psyching up, braiding three hairstyles, three different hairstyles. And I just laughed, honestly, because these people, they just set the bar so low for, okay, like a braid. It's like me getting a new haircut and all of a sudden I'm in the news, you know? I get a new haircut and boom, it's breaking news, front page news. That's just how desperate they are because if you heard what I just said, that it sounds absurd, literally. It is just absurd. And that just is how desperate we are. And it was just funny, honestly. And in the same note, where they try and amplify every little thing she does, every common thing she does, they always try and vilify Megan. That is where I hate. That is, it just, I don't know. It just makes me so mad. Because as I've said earlier, they can't perform on their own. They need Harry and Meghan as a clutch. Honestly, they need Harry and Meghan as a clutch. Otherwise, nothing. They 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 have nothing to say for themselves. They have nothing. Because I remember, I think it was in 2025, September, somewhere there. Kate had worn a certain, she just worn her usual clothes, but they had portrayed it as if it was symbolic, as if it was a message directed towards Harry and Meghan. And like you take a pause and you're like, hey. She was just wearing clothes. That's just clothes she's wearing, but they try to find, they try to make it appear so deep. They try to make it appear so soulful, Like there's a whole hidden meaning, there's a whole hidden agenda behind something as simple as clothes. But all in all, we are happy that their targets again towards Harry and Meghan, those smear campaigns, they tried and failed so miserably because all that hate that they spewed when they were in England, all that, I think all in the hope of that they would not succeed and that they would fail, all just useless because they are successful as ever, pun intended. They are successful as ever, and it's just so sad though. It's just so sad to see them hate someone so much that their success literally causes you to have sleepless nights. Oof, 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 oof. My love, their successes causes them to have sleepless nights. Hey, it's just so funny. They are out here living their lives, doing their work, as actual working royals, that work for their own living. And out here, they are dying of envy, they are dying of jealousy. Marriages are being broken. My loves, marriages are being broken. Marriages are being broken. Courtesy of Harry and Meghan. The derangers have just lost themselves to this plot so far. They can't even see the line anymore now. They're just so deep into it. Because I saw this guy complaining. He was saying that he had been married to his wife for 6 years, and they have a 4-year-old daughter. And he's saying that he's running out of options. You know, that when they first met, his wife was a kind, brilliant, and outgoing person. But then she started getting involved in these online chat groups. And I made a video about this, showcasing that all those chat groups and all those tweets, most of those tweets that are posted there actually are done by bots. My loves, that actually you'll find that behind all those accounts, they are not real people. It's just maybe one or two who created the bots. The rest of it is just bots. Simple and that. Simple as that. Bots being made to spew hate against Harry and Meghan. Excuse me. And this poor, gullible derangers, they just go on there, believe what they're seeing, and get lied to. Because he continues to say that she met someone through a royal sub royal gossip subreddit who claimed to have hired a private investigator to investigate Duchess Meghan. And the person in question would send her negative articles about Duchess Meghan and claim that the private investigator whom she had hired had discovered this information so that the wife could send more money. My loves, how gullible can they be? This is just sad, honestly, on a lot of levels. This is just so sad because it continues to say that she just was being swindled out of her money easily like that. Like, my loves, this is how easy it is to lie to them. This is how easy it is to trick their minds. Oh my days. I pity them because they are blinded so much by their hate towards Duchess Meghan, which is founded solely on their envy towards her. They envy her, how flawless she looks. I mean, she's aging backwards. I saw their pictures in 2016 and 2026. Melas, they're aging backwards. So they envy how she looks, they envy how flawless she is, they envy how articulate she is, they envy her marriage, they envy her life, they envy her kids, just how cute Princess Lilibet and Prince Archie are. They envy their home in Montecito. And all that fuels this special kind of hate, this blinding hate that causes them to be targets. And as you can see, the husband goes on to say that she saw that it was clearly normal. Yeah. And this actually helps us a lot to understand them because I mean a mentally ill person when they do something in their mind it's perfectly normal. Actually, they think your behavior is the one that is not normal. So his wife being confronted for that and her thinking it's perfectly normal. I mean, it's totally in line with their agenda and what they push for. Because you can't be totally normal and they believe that it's okay hating on a person you have never met, you have never interacted with, just because a certain bot told you to do so. And he goes on to say that he decided to divorce her. And when she realized that it was serious, she hit him. She threw a glass cup that hit him on his head, and he had to leave. And he might get full custody of their daughter. My loves, that is just an example of just how gullible they are, how in their own little cocoon they are. Because to the extent that you destroy your marriage, you destroy your relationship with your daughter, because her daughter loves her so much, but she can't recognize her mom. She can't recognize her mom. You know? To the extent, oh my days, like, it's. I've now come to realize that it's just worse than we thought, honestly. Like we used, when you think it just couldn't get any worse, they prove you wrong time and time again because it's terrible for them. That's a marriage that has imploded on the basis of hate towards the Sussexes. That is Megan and Prince Harry. Imagine that a 6-year marriage has imploded just because of hate towards Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan. Ah, but we don't pity them, my loves. We don't pity them at all. We don't pity them at all, at all, at all. For the hate that they spew online, for the harassment that they have done to Duchess Meghan and Prince Harry, we do not have any sympathy for them because this is something that they have brought on themselves. This is something that they have brought upon themselves. My loves, that story honestly was. I had to read it twice. I had to read it twice to confirm that such things are happening right now, and it's true. And you wonder what the, you, know, you wonder what is going on in their minds. Uh, 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 uh. And while others, well, those William and Kate are trying to stay relevant, have weird articles written about them about this most basic stuff. Something that has not lost its relevance at all, is the Invictus Games that are going to be held in Birmingham in 2027. And I just saw that the deadline for registering, the deadline is on the 31st of March. And it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing the influence that the Sussexes have. Because this is an event, or this is an event that Prince Harry started in 2014. And up to right now, it's still it's never lost its relevance, my loves. In a state where this regional based sports, unless it's the World Cup or the Olympics or these big athletics championships, most of these other sporting events actually lose their relevance very easily. They lose their relevance very easily. Actually, it becomes a struggle for them to maintain their status. So in a community where sports such as that are losing their relevance so easily, and then we are introduced to the Invictus Games hosted by Prince Harry, and just they never lost their relevance. They just actually they are getting bigger and bigger and better with each session, with each hosting, And that is just so wonderful to me, honestly. That's what I'm talking about, my loves. The influence and they understand. So the UK media try and portray Harry and Meghan as Perez. Just feel like doing this to them and telling them, see here, look, look, this is influence. And they're using it for good. That is even the greatest part. They're not just influential, they're using it for good. Because the Invictus game give a platform for soldiers and veterans wounded in combat, to be able to meet, to be able to compete again, form teams, have fun, enjoy themselves, and let go of you know, any pressures, any issues disturbing them while they play, while they're playing together. And that is something that is just so wonderful. Because as we all know, he served in the military. Served in the military. So to see him taking care of veterans who are wounded in war, and even active combat personnel who have been wounded in war, he can also join. This is what I told you, my loves, in the beginning. But the Sussexes, they allow their life experiences to boost them, Whatever terrible thing they experience, they try and make sure it never happens to any other person again. But whatever positive thing that happened to them, then they make sure the rest of the world knows about it. Because because this because if you check like the Invictus games, Harry was a soldier. He saw his fellow men die. He saw his fellow soldiers die. And he even saw others crippled, others wounded, others maimed. They'll never be able to regain their normal lives ever. And he understood that. He felt that emotional attachment because he was a soldier and he created Invictus Games. And now they are slowly growing. They're slowly growing, they're slowly improving, they're slowly getting better and better and better over time. And that is something that I just love. That is something that I just love. It's just a wonderful thing. It's such an awesome situation, honestly. Uh, and but anyways, my loves, this is the deadline is on March the 31st, and it's going to be held in Birmingham. But behind all that, they give us a glimpse of who they are. They just give us a glimpse of who they are. And it's just so amazing to just see them and see how in love they are. Even so, I mean, I'm certain most of you are present to the fact that Duchess Meghan released the Valentine's Day spread special. And what an array of goods it is. Mm, 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 mm. I'm just, ooh, I am just, I'm salivating right now because you just read all the spreads, all those new spreads that she's come up with. And This year, I told you in the beginning that this is the month of love. This is the year of love for the Sussexes. They've never been more in love. They've never been more successful. They've never been thriving more than they are thriving right now, actually. Be it Prince Harry in his own ventures and endeavors, be it Duchess Meghan in her own ventures and endeavors, they each are slow, they each not even slowly, they each are killing it in their respective sectors. You know, because even like Travelist, the company that Harry co-founded, started to help make transport sustainable, to help make moving from one place to another healthy, green, not just making a mess, but somehow repairing the mess that you made. Because if you go to their website, you'll find that one of the things they encourage visitors who have used their site to visit other places to do is encourage them to plant a tree. My loves, they encourage them to plant a tree. It does not get more environmental than that. It does not get more environmental than that. They usually have such programs that when you live somewhere, let it benefit the locals. That even though the big companies have settled there and they are right next to you, you tell them to keep on supporting the locals, to keep on exchanging their currency for the local currency, and going on about their day like that. And this is such a wonderful advice. This is such a wonderful initiative. And yesterday they were on the 6th, the CEO for Travelist met with the EU's commissioner, Apostolos. She met with them to speak about sustainable traveling. And as I said, my loves earlier in this podcast, that they don't just do it for the clicks, they don't just do it for the likes. Harry and Meghan are as real as expected to be. They are as real as expected to be. Because when you check like that travelist event where they met the High Commissioner for UK and all that, that somehow that in its own way is improving the fight against climate change. That in itself is improving the fight against climate change. And the person behind it, Prince Harry. But when he does that, the tabloids are not going to speak about him at all, at all, at all. But when he does something funny or something that is not of the royalty, you find the comments now. You find the comments. Very negative ones, but you keep finding the comments. Relax, relax, relax. What a terrible life it is to be an honest. Like it's just so terrible. It's just you don't pity them honestly, but it's just pitiful. Yeah. Let's say it's pitiful. It's pitiful honestly. Some of the things that they do or post in the name of hating on Harry and Meghan. That's just too sad. Honestly, that is just too sad. And I think that I saw that was happening honestly earlier this week. We saw Sarah Ferguson claim that she has no place to live. No place left to live. This is after her this is after her daughter Eugenie and Beatrice refused to give her asylum, refused to give her a place to stay. And let's not forget that this is all in line with the fact that Prince Andrew had that Epstein files case, and it didn't help his case at all. And after he was chased, actually, they're being chased out of the Windsor home. Rebecca apparently claims she has no place to live. My loves, they claiming that she has no place to live, that her daughters have both turned her down. And honestly, I would because I don't want to be associated with that type of energy. Because that energy they carry, that hate towards Megan, it's just, it reaches a point where you ask the question. So let me know in the comments. What's your opinion on all that? Hate is all nonsense. Based on nothing. The video are usually based on nothing. Nothing, nothing. It's just so funny, honestly. It's very, very honest. Because this is something that if you look closely, this is something that she had coming, honestly. This is something that she had coming. I mean, her husband, what do you expect? What do you expect? And now she's out here saying that she has no place to live, and we're like, Rebecca, what? Pardon me, like, Sarah, you have no place to live. Sarah, your daughters don't want to be associated with you because they know the kind of bad PR that you're coming with. They don't want to be associated with that. They're used to being they're used to being the ones giving bad PR to others. Now they are the victims, and it's not pretty at all. It's not pretty at all. It is not pretty. Well, as it's not pretty at all because they and the tabloids. I'm wondering why they're not trying to protect or cover her in a way. Because it just takes me to some of those articles that they used to write. Some of those articles that they used to smear that is not a way. I remember this time where I'm sure most of you remember this time where she decided to just change her nail polish a little bit. And oh my days, did they have a meltdown? Wow, my loves, it was just, they had a meltdown, pure meltdown. They just couldn't believe it. They were in uproar, saying how what a breach of protocol it was, how it was They were saying all these negative things about Duchess Megan. And I remember Kate doing something similar, and they called it iconic. Iconic. My loves, this the tabloids sometimes are just crazy because they call it iconic. And when Megan does it, it's a breach of protocol. But I love that right now she is at a point where she doesn't need to explain. She doesn't need to experience that anymore. She doesn't need to explain herself. She doesn't need to explain her wardrobe choices. Because come on, let's be honest. Amongst the royals, she was the only one with a nice fashion sense. She's just slayed in every outfit that she put on. And they couldn't, and the others couldn't even come close. So now I think it's perfect. It's wonderful to see her in a place where she can she can style herself however she wants, you know, without this tabloids trying to portray her as this negative person, trying to portray it as this negative event, you know, because if you could see her in Sundance, at Sundance, she just looked awesome. She just looked gorgeous on Saturday and on Sunday. You know, she just looked amazing. She was just glowing. In the comment section, the ladies were just all asking for the tips, the tutorial tips. They just want to know what is it that you do that is mega. And it is such a wonderful thing that right now she's allowed. She can do anything she wants without them. Though they will always find a way to smear her, but not being put, that they won't get an opportunity to do it so blatantly. Hi, Esther. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is something that just warmed my heart because during the trial, when Harry was speaking, it became apparent just how much she had suffered at their hands. When he broke, saying they had made her life miserable. When he broke, like his voice got broke, he became emotional, talking about how terrible they had, how miserable they had made her. And it is such a welcome contrast seeing her smiling. I mean, at the Sundance Festival, at the Cookie Girls premiere, she had on the biggest smile of anybody out there. She was just smiling, waving, hugging people, enjoying herself to the fullest. And that was such a welcome thing. That was such a that was such a welcome. Actually, that was so welcome. It was just, and I just loved just how uncomfortable they felt. How those haters, they just had to look for something to say. They had to look for something to critique about her. They couldn't find it. I mean, they looked at her presentation, at her dressing. They couldn't find anything to critique. They couldn't find anything to lie about. That's why they had to target the number of people who came. That is why they had to shift the story towards such a direction. Because, in all honesty, they had nothing to critique pertaining to Duchess Megan. She was just in her top game. And Prince Harry backing her up, he was just chef's kiss. There was nothing they could critique. And I just love how they are leaving impacts globally. Because that premiere of the Cookie Queens, that impact was global by now. That it just became global due to their presence. And we have Travelist CEO going to talk with the EU Commissioner about sustainable, methods of traveling, about ensuring that we reduce the carbon footprint as we visit countries, as we move from one place to another, as we tour one place or another. And that is something that is going to have global impacts, positive global impacts. Same with the documentary here, where Harry wrote the foreword and the book. Same with the IAPP conference that is going to speak about. Like, well, as look at what we are calling influence. Like whatever they are doing, it's not just affecting them, it's not just hitting them. Its impact are going to be felt far and wide. That's just how icons are. That is something that we as Sussexes, we as Titans, we love. This is something that we are used to. And this year, I am just loving that. It's just January, my loves. This is just January, the first month of the year. And the impact they're having has just been monumental. This year is promising to be a very good one because it's just we are ending the year, we're ending the month tomorrow. So in just the first month, they have touched communities out here all over the world. And they are also working on other projects that will also impact the community on a grand and positive scale. And that is what I call impact. That is what I call being an icon. That's how icons behave. And and on top of all that, behind all that, the family at home is just glowing. Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, they're just having the most amount of fun they could have. Megan's mom, Dory, is just out there relaxing with no worries whatsoever. Because I remember they were even surprise guests in a book launch where it addressed the phone-based childhood. It was addressing phone-based childhood, and they came and they spoke critically on issues that mattered and how to them it's a challenge to them how they try and create an offline life for their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Megan said that they were so excited to be part of that project, to ensure that our children are protected from this digital space because this digital space can be very scary for children. It can turn dark very quickly for children actually. We all know that. So it was such a welcome surprise actually seeing them appear. And they were just in their home in Montecito. It was not something that they had to shoot. So it was just in their home in Montecito because even saw their pup, you know, passed by. It was, and that was just the beginning of the year. And now we have the Sundance. We had the Sundance Festival. We had Prince Harry in court against Associated Media, Associated Print, Associated Newspapers Limited, and now the forward and travelist impact in global tourism and his keynote speech in the IAPP that just sets the tone, my love. That's just setting the tone, my loves. I am loving this. Honestly, I don't know if it's me alone, but personally, I am loving this. I am so happy that it's just the first month, January, and they are up here living impacts left, right, center, living impacts left, right, center. And we can't even forget Prince Harry's heartfelt message towards Trump when he came after the allies, when he tried to portray them as staying in the back, as they are trying to claim that their impact was not that great in the war, trying to claim that they just came and stayed in the back. And when all other people were quiet, they did not want to stand out, you know. They did not want to be the first ones to stand out. He was not afraid. He called him out, saying that those sacrifices of those soldiers mattered. And I just loved how the veterans responded to that. And you could see from their reactions online, you know, you could see from their reactions just how much it meant for them, what he said. So, my loves, this is just the first month of January, and the Sussexes have left their impact they felt worldwide. I mean, their impact has just been felt everywhere. From Duchess Megan's spreads, the deliciousness, food industry has been touched, the film industry has been touched, the judicial systems have been touched, conservation efforts, you know, like their effect is just everywhere. You don't fake such influence, my love. This is not something that you can buy. This is not something that you can just have one interview and it's done. This is something that you grow. This is something that you grow over time. This is something that grows in you. And I'm so excited, honestly, because this is just the first month and I can't wait for what more they have in store for us. Hey, my loves, it's just been, it's just been an awesome month to me personally. Seeing them thriving, seeing them glowing, seeing them doing so well in their businesses, in their philanthropic work, you know, it has been so, so nice. Loves. And as we're finishing this month of January, I am just excited for what's to come for them, you know, for what they have in store for us, because this is just the beginning. My loves, this is just the beginning. And as I said, this is not something that they are doing for the PR, you know. I mean, I saw King Charles have an Amazon documentary made about him, about how much he's an advocate, how much his effort towards combating climate change. I think it's a 90 minutes documentary. It's a 90 minutes documentary on Amazon. Like, unlike others whom we have to be told to go watch, theirs is blatant. You don't need to be told to watch. You don't need to be told to to actively search for it. It's just there. You just do it. You know, it's not something that you have cameras recording and everything. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Theirs is natural. Theirs is legit. Theirs is, and I love that. I love that, my love. I just love that. I love how authentic it is. If there's one thing that I can honestly commend them, it's just how authentic they are. In a society where we are slowly losing our authenticity, everything we do these days is it's just for this likes, it's just for the clickbait. They're not about that, my loves. They're not about that. They're authentic. They're authentic. That is why even actually during the Sundance Film Festival, they did not tell anybody. Mm-mm. They did not tell anybody. They just made a surprise appearance, and the impact, straight on. That is that is what I love about them. They don't go about advertising themselves. They don't go about trying to showcase themselves. They're just that's the most iconic thing that I can say about them. Is just that they exist naturally. They do things that we do naturally. But when they do them, they always have a certain pull, a certain attraction that makes us want to know more, that that pulls us closer. They have a certain magnetic pull about them. They're just behaving naturally, but just them being themselves. They have this pull, you know, they have this attraction towards people. And that is one thing that I love about them. That is one thing that I really love about them. Because if you saw when they were at Sundance, like they were just wearing the most casual clothes. They were just a surprise on Saturday. Their surprise appearance on Saturday, actually, it was just boom. Nobody's expecting them. Nobody has been told. The media houses, the journalists don't have an idea they are coming. And then all of a sudden they're there. And all of a sudden they're the center of attraction. And not just and not by trying to do anything great or by trying to portray themselves in a certain way. They're just existing. They're just being themselves. And their charisma, that charm that they have, draws people. Simple as that. I love that, my loves. I just love that. That charm that they have, that they don't need to have all that flashy PR stuff. They just, by them being them, the rest of the world follows. They become intrigued. They become excited. We want to know more, want to see more. And that is what happened at Sundance. And that is what continues. And that is what also happened when Harry was in Britain for the court case. Like, their presence was all that was needed, and it said enough. My loves, I've just enjoyed this month of January. And as it comes to a close tomorrow, mm, the Sussexes, the impact that they have already made in the world. I just salute them. This is something that I now, this is something that I hope we're going to see more of. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your presence here, and